What do you do when your best friend steals the one thing you wanted most in the world? I'll tell you exactly what I did, and trust me, by the end of this, you'll understand why some betrayals deserve no mercy. My name is Nicole, and I'm 39 years old. I work in finance, been married to my husband Mark for about 10 years now. We live in a nice suburb outside the city, the kind of place with good schools and tree-lined streets. The American dream, right? Except for one thing. We couldn't have kids. After years of trying, countless doctor visits, and medical complications that left me unable to carry a pregnancy, we'd exhausted every option. IVF didn't work. Adoption waiting lists stretched on forever. I was starting to lose hope. That's when Jennifer stepped in. Jen had been my best friend since college, almost 20 years of friendship. We'd been through everything together. Breakups, weddings, career changes. She knew how badly I wanted to be a mom. One evening over coffee at her place, she said something that changed everything. "I'll carry your baby for you. I don't want kids of my own anyway. Let me help you." I cried. Mark cried. It felt like a miracle, like having a friend who truly understood what we needed. Someone we could trust with something this important. Looking back now, I should have seen the red flags. But when you're desperate and someone offers you hope, you don't ask too many questions. We did everything right. We hired a lawyer, a good one who specialized in surrogacy agreements. The contract was crystal clear. Jennifer would receive about $78,000 total. Around $8,000 per month during pregnancy, plus $6,000 for recovery. In exchange, she'd carry our biological child using my egg and Mark's sperm, then surrender all parental rights after birth. She signed it. No hesitation. The medical procedures went smoothly. First try, actually. Jennifer was pregnant with our baby. Our son. Those first few months felt surreal. We went to doctor appointments together. Picked out names. Started setting up the nursery. Jennifer seemed happy for us, excited even. Then, around month 5, things started feeling off. She'd make these comments during appointments. "This baby feels so connected to me." Or, "I don't know if I can just hand him over like he's nothing." At first, I thought it was normal. Hormones, bonding, whatever. I'd reassure her gently. "Jen, we have an agreement. This is my baby. You're doing an incredible thing by carrying him, but he's ours." She'd nod and change the subject. But the comments kept coming. Maybe we could co-parent? Like, I could still be involved. My stomach would drop every time. Mark started getting worried too. "Do you think she's going to back out?" he'd ask at night. "She can't," I'd tell him. "We have a legal contract." She signed it. The pregnancy continued. We kept paying her, every month, right on schedule. $8,000 transferred to her account like clockwork. By month 9, we'd already paid her around $72,000. Then our son was born. Michael. 7 pounds, 6 ounces. Perfect. I was in the delivery room, tears streaming down my face as I held him for the first time. My son. After everything we'd been through, he was finally here. Jennifer seemed fine at first. Tired, obviously, but fine. We brought her flowers, made sure she had everything she needed for recovery. She stayed in the hospital for 2 days while we handled the birth certificate paperwork, both our names listed as parents, exactly as the contract specified. Then came discharge day. "I need to talk to you both," Jennifer said. Her voice was different. Flat. Cold. We sat down in her hospital room, Michael sleeping in my arms. "I've changed my mind," she said. "I'm keeping him. He's my son. I carried him. You can't just take him from me." The world stopped. "Jennifer," I said slowly, my voice shaking. "We have a legal contract. You agreed to this. You've been paid over $70,000. "I don't care about the money," she cut me off. "You manipulated me. You knew I'd bond with him. You exploited me." I stared at her, unable to process what I was hearing. This was my best friend. The person I'd trusted more than almost anyone. "Your name isn't even on the birth certificate," Mark said, his jaw tight. "You have no legal rights to him." Jennifer's eyes went hard. "We'll see about that." That's when I knew she wasn't confused or emotional. She'd planned this. And she was willing to destroy everything to take my child. The first 24 hours after leaving the hospital were a blur. We took Michael home, but I couldn't even enjoy it. Every moment felt like Jennifer might show up demanding we hand him over. "We need a lawyer," Mark said that night. "A different one. Someone who does family law litigation, not just contracts." He was right. The next morning, while Mark stayed home with Michael, I drove to a law office downtown. The attorney, Susan, specialized in surrogacy disputes. Apparently, this kind of thing happens more often than people realize. I brought everything. The signed contract, bank statements showing every payment we'd made to Jennifer, text messages from the past months where she'd made those concerning comments about keeping the baby. Susan read through it all, her expression getting more serious by the minute. "This is pretty clear-cut legally," she finally said. "Jennifer has no parental rights. The contract is ironclad, the birth certificate lists you and your husband as parents, and the baby is biologically yours. But what? But she can still fight it. And judges sometimes hesitate to remove a baby from someone who carried it, even when the law is clear. We need to be prepared for a battle." My heart sank. How long? Could be months. Maybe longer. And it won't be cheap. "I don't care what it costs," I said. "He's my son." Over the next few weeks, I threw myself into documentation. Every text message Jennifer had ever sent me. Every email about the surrogacy arrangement. Bank records showing all $78,000 we'd paid her. Medical records proving Michael was biologically ours. I also started digging into Jennifer's background more carefully, something I probably should have done before trusting her with this. Turns out she was in worse financial shape than I'd realized. Credit card debt. Late rent payments. She'd even been fired from her previous job about a year ago, right before she'd offered to be our surrogate. Then I found the social media posts. Jennifer had started posting photos of Michael on her Facebook and Instagram, claiming he was her son. "My beautiful baby boy," the captions read. No mention of surrogacy. No mention of us. Just photos of her holding him at the hospital, making it look like he was hers. She was creating a false narrative online, trying to make it seem like she was Michael's mother, and we were trying to steal him from her. That's when I realized this wasn't just about maternal bonding. Jennifer had seen an opportunity, a way to get paid for pregnancy while also getting a baby she could claim was hers. She'd planned this from the beginning. "Look at this," I showed Mark one evening. She posted about wanting kids last year. Multiple times. Then deleted the posts right before offering to be our surrogate. "She lied," Mark said quietly. "She told you she didn't want kids." Exactly. She'd told us she had no interest in being a mother, that she was just helping us out of friendship. But the screenshots I found told a different story. She'd been posting about wanting to be a mom, about feeling like her life was empty without children. My best friend had seen my desperation and decided to exploit it. I contacted mutual friends, carefully asking questions about Jennifer's recent behavior. Turns out she'd been telling people for weeks that she was pregnant, but conveniently left out the part about it being a surrogacy arrangement. "I thought she was having a baby with some new boyfriend," one friend told me. "She never mentioned you or Mark." Jennifer had been laying groundwork for months, creating a narrative where Michael was her biological son conceived the normal way. She planned to take our money, take our baby, and leave us with nothing. Susan helped me compile everything into a comprehensive legal package. Documented proof of Jennifer's deception, evidence of her financial motivation, and her deliberate misrepresentation of the surrogacy arrangement. "We're also filing for full repayment of the $78,000, Susan explained. "Plus your legal fees. Plus punitive damages for fraud and breach of contract." "How much are we talking?" Susan did the math. "If we win everything, somewhere over $200,000. Maybe more." Jennifer had wanted money and a baby. She was about to get neither. The legal process moved faster than I expected, probably because the law was so clearly on our side. Within 2 weeks, we had a court date scheduled. Susan filed multiple motions simultaneously: enforcement of the surrogacy contract, full custody to Mark and me, termination of any potential parental rights Jennifer might claim, and a judgment for repayment of all money paid plus damages. The key here, Susan explained, is that Jennifer has no biological connection to Michael, no legal parental rights, and she violated a contract she signed willingly. This isn't a gray area. We also documented Jennifer's refusal to return any of the money. I'd sent her a certified letter requesting repayment of the $78,000 since she'd breached the contract. She never responded. Meanwhile, Jennifer had hired her own lawyer, apparently using the money we'd paid her. Her strategy became clear pretty quickly, claimed she'd been emotionally manipulated and coerced into signing the surrogacy agreement. She started telling people I'd taken advantage of her financial situation, that she'd felt pressured to help us, that she hadn't understood what she was agreeing to. Never mind that she'd had her own attorney review the contract before signing. Never mind that we'd had multiple conversations about expectations and boundaries. Never mind that she'd been paid thousands of dollars every month for almost a year. She was rewriting history, and she was good at it. This is going to be ugly, Susan warned me. She's going to try to make you look like the villain. Judges are sympathetic to women who've carried babies, even in surrogacy cases. We need to be prepared for her to play the emotional card hard. What do? We stick to facts. Documentation. The contract she signed. The money she accepted. The social media posts where she misrepresented the situation. We show a pattern of deception and financial exploitation. We also looked into Jennifer's employment situation. Turns out she worked in human resources at a mid-sized company downtown. And according to the employee handbook I found online, employees were required to disclose any legal disputes or situations that might affect their professional standing. Jennifer had never told her employer she was in a legal battle over a surrogacy fraud case. Is that something we can use? I asked Susan. Possibly. If she's violated company policy, that's additional consequences she'll face beyond this case. We documented everything about Jennifer's attempt to claim Michael as her own. The hospital had security footage of her trying to leave with him after discharge. She'd actually attempted to take him from the nursery before Mark intervened. I also discovered she'd been researching maternal rights after surrogacy and how to keep surrogate baby online. Her search history, which came up during legal discovery, showed she'd been planning this for weeks before Michael was born. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment, emotional decision. It was calculated. About a month before our court date, Jennifer reached out to mutual friends trying to get them to testify on her behalf. She wanted people to say I'd been manipulative or controlling, that I'd pressured her into the surrogacy. None of them agreed. Most of them stopped talking to her entirely once they learned the truth about what she'd done. She's isolated now, Mark observed one evening. No one wants to be associated with someone who'd steal a baby. The week before court, Susan and I met to review our presentation. We had binders full of evidence: the contract, payment records, text messages, social media posts, medical records, witness statements from the fertility clinic, documentation of Jennifer's lies to friends and family. Here's what's going to happen, Susan explained. Jennifer's lawyer will try to argue emotional distress, lack of understanding, unfair contract terms. They'll make her seem like a victim. But we have something stronger. We have the law, clear documentation, and proof of intent to defraud. What about supervised visitation? I asked. She's claiming she should have rights to see him. We're asking for zero visitation. She has no legal relationship to Michael, and her behavior shows she can't be trusted. She literally tried to steal a baby she had no rights to. We also prepared for the financial judgment aspect. Susan calculated our damages: $78,000 paid to Jennifer, plus about $65,000 in legal fees so far, plus punitive damages for fraud and emotional distress. Realistically, we're asking for somewhere around $250,000 in total judgments against her, Susan said. She won't be able to pay it all immediately, which means wage garnishment and payment plans for years. Good, I said. There was zero sympathy left in me. She tried to steal my son and ruin my life. She should spend the next decade paying for it. The court date was set. Everything was prepared. All we had to do was show up and let the evidence speak for itself. Jennifer had underestimated us completely. She thought maternal sympathy and emotional manipulation would win. She was about to learn how wrong she was. The courthouse was downtown, a few blocks from where we lived. We arrived early on a Tuesday morning, Michael with my mom at home. I wanted to be fully focused on what was about to happen. Jennifer was already there with her lawyer, a middle-aged man in an expensive suit. She looked different than I remembered. Thinner, tired. Her eyes met mine across the lobby, and she quickly looked away. "She's nervous," Mark whispered. "She should be," I said. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Just the judge, a few court staff, and the four of us, me and Mark with Susan, Jennifer with her attorney. This wasn't a trial with a jury. It was a hearing to determine custody and enforcement of the surrogacy contract. The judge, a woman in her 50s named Judge Martinez, reviewed the case file as we settled in. "This is a surrogacy contract dispute," she began. "Ms. Walsh, you were the gestational carrier for a child biologically related to Mr. and Mrs. Adams. You now claim parental rights to that child. Is that correct?" Jennifer's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, my client was emotionally coerced into an agreement she didn't fully understand. She formed a maternal bond during pregnancy and believes she has the right." "I'm asking your client," Judge Martinez interrupted. "Ms. Walsh." Jennifer stood, her voice shaky. "I carried that baby for 9 months. He's my son. I can't just give him up like he's nothing. According to the contract you signed, you agreed to relinquish all parental rights in exchange for payment. Is that not correct?" I didn't understand what I was agreeing to. "Did you have legal representation when you signed the contract?" Jennifer hesitated. "Yes, but—" "And you accepted payment totaling $78,000 over the course of the pregnancy?" "They pressured me into it." Susan stood. "Your Honor, if I may present evidence to the contrary?" Judge Martinez nodded. "Go ahead." Susan pulled out the first exhibit, email chains between Jennifer and me from before the surrogacy began. "Your Honor, these messages show Ms. Walsh initiating the offer to serve as surrogate. She specifically stated, and I quote, 'I don't want kids of my own. I just want to help you have yours.'" Jennifer's face flushed red. Furthermore, Susan continued, "We have text messages from Ms. Walsh during the pregnancy discussing the payment schedule and confirming she understood the terms of the agreement." She displayed Jennifer's texts on the courtroom screen. "Got this month's payment, thanks. Baby is doing great. Can't wait for you guys to meet your son. Only 3 more months and then you'll finally be parents." Jennifer's lawyer shifted uncomfortably. "Your Honor," Susan said, "Ms. Walsh knew exactly what she was agreeing to. She accepted nearly $80,000 in payments. The contract was clear, and she violated it deliberately." Judge Martinez turned to Jennifer. "Ms. Walsh, these messages seem to contradict your claim that you didn't understand the agreement." "I changed my mind," Jennifer said, her voice desperate. "When he was born, I couldn't." "You changed your mind after accepting full payment?" Silence. Susan produced the next piece of evidence. "Your Honor, here are social media posts Ms. Walsh made claiming the baby as her own, with no mention of the surrogacy arrangement. She deliberately misrepresented the situation to friends and family." Photos filled the screen, Jennifer's Facebook and Instagram posts with Michael, captioned as if he were her biological son born naturally. "She attempted to create a false narrative," Susan explained. "This wasn't a last-minute emotional decision. This was planned deception." Jennifer's lawyer tried to recover. "Your Honor, my client's maternal instincts were superseded by a legally binding contract she signed," Judge Martinez said sharply. "Ms. Walsh, do you have any biological relationship to this child?" "I carried him." "That's not what I asked. Are you biologically related to this child? Did you provide the egg?" "No, but—" "So the child is biologically the Adamses' child, you have no parental rights under the contract you signed, and you accepted payment in full for services as a gestational carrier. Is that accurate?" Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. "I'm his mother. I gave birth to him." "You were a gestational carrier," Judge Martinez corrected. "There's a legal difference." Susan stood again. "Your Honor, we're also requesting full repayment of the $78,000 paid to Ms. Walsh, plus legal fees of $65,000 incurred defending against this frivolous claim, plus punitive damages for fraud and emotional distress." Jennifer's lawyer objected. Your Honor, my client can't afford. Your client accepted money under a contract she then violated, the judge said. Financial hardship isn't a defense against fraud. Furthermore, Susan continued, we request zero visitation rights for Ms. Walsh. She has no legal relationship to this child and has demonstrated she cannot be trusted. She attempted to abscond with the baby from the hospital immediately after birth. Jennifer started crying. I just wanted to be a mom. Then you shouldn't have signed a contract agreeing not to be, Judge Martinez said, her tone ice cold. Ms. Walsh, did anyone force you to become a surrogate? No, but... Did the Adamses threaten you or coerce you in any way? No, but they knew I was struggling financially. So you voluntarily agreed to provide a service for payment, accepted that payment, then decided to keep the child after being paid in full. Do you understand how this looks? Jennifer was openly sobbing now. Her lawyer looked defeated. Judge Martinez reviewed the documents one more time, then looked up. This case is remarkably clear-cut. Ms. Walsh entered into a valid surrogacy contract with full legal representation. She accepted substantial payment for her services. She has no biological relationship to the child and no legal parental rights. Her attempt to claim custody is not only without legal merit, but appears to be fraudulent. She paused, letting that sink in. I'm ruling as follows. Full custody of the minor child Michael Adams is granted to Nicole and Mark Adams. Ms. Walsh's parental rights, which legally never existed, are formally terminated with prejudice. Visitation is denied. Jennifer gasped. You can't. I'm not finished, Judge Martinez said sharply. Ms. Walsh, you are ordered to repay the full $78,000 paid to you under the surrogacy contract. You are also responsible for the Adamses' legal fees, which I'm setting at $65,000. Additionally, I'm awarding punitive damages of $100,000 for fraud, breach of contract, and emotional distress. I did the math quickly. Around $243,000 total. Jennifer looked like she might faint. Furthermore, the judge continued, if you violate this order or attempt to contact the Adamses or their child, you will face criminal contempt charges. Do you understand? Your Honor, please, Jennifer's lawyer tried. This case is closed. Order is effective immediately. The gavel came down. Jennifer collapsed into her chair, still crying. Her lawyer was already gathering papers, clearly eager to leave. We stood. Susan shook our hands. Congratulations. Michael is officially, unquestionably yours. I looked across the courtroom at Jennifer one last time. She wouldn't meet my eyes. After everything we'd been through, the infertility, the hope, the betrayal, the legal battle, it was finally over. We walked out of that courthouse knowing our son was safe. Jennifer couldn't touch him. She'd lost everything and she'd earned every bit of it. The days following the court ruling felt surreal. We'd won completely, full custody, zero visitation for Jennifer, and a judgment worth over $200,000 that she'd be paying off for probably the next decade or more. Jennifer tried reaching out a few times in those first weeks. Desperate texts, can we please talk about this? And I made a mistake, but I still love him. Susan advised us to block her completely and document any attempted contact as potential harassment. We did. Every message went straight to our lawyer, unread by us. About a month after the ruling, I heard through mutual friends that Jennifer had lost her job. Apparently, her employer found out about the surrogacy fraud case through public court records. A company that prided itself on ethics and integrity didn't want someone who'd violated contracts and committed fraud working in their HR department. She was also struggling with the financial judgment. The court had set up wage garnishment, around $1,200 a month coming straight out of whatever job she could find. That would continue for years. She'd tried to steal my baby and instead ended up with crushing debt, no job, a destroyed reputation, and zero access to Michael. Meanwhile, our life was everything I'd hoped for. Michael was around 18 months old now. Healthy, happy, hitting all his milestones. He had my eyes and Mark's smile. Every morning when I woke up and heard him babbling in his crib, I felt grateful we'd fought so hard for him. My career was going well. I'd actually gotten promoted about 6 months after the trial ended. The time off during the legal battle had been stressful, but my company had been supportive. Turns out fighting for your kid earns you some respect. Mark and I were stronger than ever. Going through something that intense either breaks you or brings you closer. For us, it was the latter. We'd protected our family, and we'd done it together. As for Jennifer, last I heard she was working retail somewhere across town, still paying off that judgment month by month. Her social media had gone quiet. No more posts about motherhood, no more pictures of other people's babies. Just silence. Some of our mutual friends had asked if I felt bad for her. She made a mistake. Maybe you should consider supervised visitation eventually. Absolutely not. Jennifer didn't make a mistake. She planned to exploit us from the beginning. She lied about not wanting kids, accepted our money knowing she intended to keep our baby, and then tried to manipulate the courts into letting her steal our son. The only thing she regrets is getting caught. Do I feel guilty about the financial judgment? Not even a little. She took $78,000 from us under false pretenses. She cost us another $65,000 in legal fees defending against her fraud. The punitive damages were earned through her deliberate deception. She wanted to be a mother badly enough to betray her best friend and commit fraud. Instead, she ended up with no child, massive debt, no job, and a reputation that follows her everywhere in our city. That's not my revenge. That's just consequences. I did end up doing something positive from all this, though. I started consulting with family law attorneys who handle surrogacy cases. I helped them understand what to look for in potential gestational carriers, what red flags to watch for, how to structure contracts that protect intended parents. I also published a guide, nothing fancy, just a detailed blog post that went somewhat viral, called Surrogacy Contracts, Protecting Your Future Child. It covers everything we learned the hard way. Looking back now, I learned one of life's hardest lessons. You can't trust anyone when biology and money are involved. Your best friend can become your worst enemy if she thinks she can get away with it. But I also learned that fighting for what's yours is always worth it. Michael is ours, legally, biologically, and in every way that matters. Jennifer tried to take that from us and failed spectacularly. Trust your instincts. Protect yourself legally. And never, ever let anyone take advantage of your desperation to have a family. Some people only learn when they lose everything. Best decision I ever made was standing up for my son.